not unusual for school districts across the county to borrow money when they want to build a new school. In many cases, they go to the bond market to raise the cash. iNewsSource has been looking into how much these bonds actually cost taxpayers, and it's more than you think. iNewsSource reporter Leo Castaneda joins me now to tell us what he's learned. Leo?
Like you said, bonds are a pretty common way for school districts to pay for big projects. They're not a particularly scary or risky move for districts trying to build new schools or modernize aging ones. They work a lot like mortgages. I enlisted the help of two of my friends, Spencer and Sander Andersons, they're fourth graders, to help school us on bonds.
School Bonds 101. A crash course in school finance. iNewsSource. Buildings are a big part of running a school district. Growing districts need new schools and classrooms, and older schools need to be renovated. Classroom tools need upgrading, like new computers,
You've got mail,
whiteboards, and science equipment. And eventually that has to be replaced. That costs money. Lots of money. So school districts turn to bonds. Bonds work a lot like loans. They have a starting principal and an interest rate. All sorts of investors buy school bonds, such as banks and hedge funds, private investors, and maybe even you, if you have something like a 401k. Every year, districts pay back some of the principal plus interest. After 20 or 25 years of these payments, the district pays off the bond. That money comes from taxpayers like you.
So Leo, what's the problem with using bonds to borrow money?
It all comes down to the type of bonds that districts use. Remember all the hoopla over Poway Unified School District's Capital Appreciation Bond?
Yeah, that was a so-called billion-dollar bond.
Well, it turns out that districts all over California and San Diego County have issued those bonds. Some of them are even more expensive than Poway's.
How are these bonds different than regular bonds? What makes them so expensive?
Basically, they allow school districts to put off paying their debts for years and years and years. My two friends, Spencer and Sander, they'll be middle-aged men by the time some of these bonds are paid off.
Now, I know you looked at a specific example of a capital appreciation bond. You looked at one in the San Ysidro School District that was issued in 2011. Now, with that bond, the district got about $16 million. They used it to pay in part for a new K-3 elementary school called Vista Del Mar. That school opened in 2012.
Now, let's imagine an 8-year-old third grader. We'll call her Susie. She attends Vista Del Mar today. Because of the way capital appreciation bonds work, districts don't have to make any principal or interest payments for years, sometimes even decades. So Susie can graduate elementary school, go to high school, graduate from college. She could even have a kid and the district still won't have made a single payment on the bond. San Ysidro won't make the first payment until Susie is a 34-year-old mother with a 9-year-old in 4th grade. But that's not where Susie's story ends. The districts will keep making payments of this bond for 9 years until Susie's kid is a college freshman.
So really, in other words, the district gets to borrow now and pay later, way later.
That's right. And all that time that the district isn't making any payments, the bond isn't just sitting back and enjoying San Diego's weather. It's growing. By the time the bill comes due in 2050, San Ysidro residents will have to pay back about $229 million for that $16 million bond.
That's a debt ratio of almost $15 for every dollar borrowed.
Yeah, and that's not even the worst capital appreciation bond in San Diego County. Santee School District issued a bond with a debt ratio of almost 17-to-1. And here's the kicker. These bonds are like a very slow ticking time bomb. Once the time comes, it'll blow up into this massive debt, and residents are left with a decades-old building in need of the same kinds of upgrades that bond was supposed to pay for in the first place.
We know Poway used these bonds, Santee and San Ysidro use these bonds, but they're not the only ones, are they?
Far from it. More than 300 school districts in California issued these bonds, along with 19 in San Diego County alone. Of course, not all of them carry the high debt ratios we're talking about here.
Okay, Leo, if these bonds are such bad news, why use them at all?
Well, back around 2008, districts found themselves under mounting pressure to build stuff right around the same time that the economy was tanking. Some of those districts turned to capital appreciation bonds, and that's when things took a turn for the worse. Since then, a law has passed to prevent districts from issuing more of the most expensive capital appreciation bonds, but the districts that already issued them are often stuck with them for decades.
Leo, you've got a searchable database so the people at home can find out whether their school district used a capital appreciation bond. Where do they find that database?
They can find it at inewssource.org.